Hello, Cadaques. Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be doing another presentation of him and the Wall of Decadence. Phantom isn't feeling so well, but he got out of bed to come and join us. So we're not going to make this too long because we don't want him to get fever again. Alright, so as you can see, we've done a lot of this painting already, yes? What I want to do today is I want to talk to you about this tree. This tree was called the sibling tree. Originally, it took me one whole year just to paint this tree, the sibling tree. It is feet that turn sometimes into a face or an elbow, and then it becomes a hand. Each branch as a foot goes winding through the painting, and then it has a hand. All of them, they have a foot, they wind all the way through the painting, and then they have a hand. Yes, there's I don't know how many different branches there are, but there are several of them. And in the first coat of doing this, it was when I was dealing with childhood issues, when I was dealing with a lot of my siblings were doing therapies to try and overcome some of the traumas of the past. And I believed that each branch signified one of my siblings or myself. Here, the purple one is my sister Marie-Hélène. She's in purple because she was fighting cancer at the time when I was doing this. And this is her foot that goes down. And then she's got two little children sitting here. Those are her two boys. And Steve, my brother, is this face over here, which comes wrapping around, and then it goes down into a foot. Then this one over here, that's one of the reasons why I didn't like this face that kept reappearing. It was my sister Linda. Yes, because my sister is very warm and very kind. She's one of the nicest people that I know. And so then there's the foot over there. We've got a long yellow hand here coming from this one. They're all intertwined, and each one is its own color. And so I call this the sibling tree. And while I was working on it, I was actually living in front of a house where I lived as a little child on Park Avenue in Montreal. I lived on Park Avenue, I don't know, at least 8 times in my life. The second studio that I had in Montreal was actually on Park Avenue too. It was right in front of that house where I used to live, where my memory starts. And it was strange times. In those times, my father was a real bohem. He always had gypsies in the house playing music with their gold teeth and their long hair and their flared pants, always drinking their beer and playing their music. And there was a lot of fighting between my parents, and there was a lot of action in that house. That's where my memory begins. So I had a lot of flashbacks in my mind, and they would play like movies in my mind, things that I had completely forgotten, things that maybe would give me an insight into part of my mind that I had closed off. I had forgotten it. I'd closed that chapter. And anyway, I started reliving some things that had happened to me in that house, and it was a very difficult period. And then in the second coat, I realized that once it was finished, once I had painted and incorporating the shadow, of course, once I'd painted the whole tree, it took me about 6 months. And then I sat in front of it, and I had done a lot of writing, I got rid of a lot of burdensome demons that were clinging on to a void in my mind. And I eliminated them, and I came to peace, whatever it was that I had to I had to come to peace with. Yeah. But then when I would sit in front of the painting, and the tree was bare, I was expecting to feel a sensation of awe and accomplishment, but no, instead I just got really, really tired. I would sit in front of it and it would make me so tired that I would have to go and lie down and go to sleep for a little while. And then it came to me, the realization that these were not siblings of mine. These were lifetimes gone by. As we have found the DNA for the soul, I do believe that one day we're going to find we found the DNA for the body. I believe that one day we will find the DNA for the soul, and that we will be able, through our chemical or through our blood, be able to go back and find out who we were in maybe the directly, immediately past lifetime. I don't know how many lifetimes we could go, but I'm sure that it's going to happen. I'm waiting for that day. And so anyway, I realized that this could not, it could not be exposed, because with every lifetime there was the burden of the mental illness, of the physical illness, of or handicaps. There was the burdens of deceitful loves, there was drug addiction, there was alcoholism, there was insanity, there was all kinds of things through the lifetimes that my soul had to conquer and deal with. And so having all of these lifetimes exposed at the same time, it just could not be done. I, the painter, could not sit there and look at it finished. So then I decided that, and it was also a very painful time. I was going through some very painful memories about my brother and my sisters, the 5 of us growing up in a little clan, basically abandoned by our parents. We weren't abandoned because we had a house, and my mother was always home, but she was always in a depression. My mother didn't serve her very much. I took over her chores at a very young age. Anyway, she was a good woman. She was a good heart. But with an alcoholic husband having his big dreams of having the gypsies get their recognition one day, she tried her patience, and she fell into a depression for many, many years. So anyway, those things used to hurt me. And the man that I was in love with, he was a beautiful man, a really caring man, but at the same time, he was a little bit of little bit self-absorbed. He only ever had to think of himself, and he only ever did think of himself. So when I would come around, I had to be happy and well and full of sugar and spice and everything nice, because he just didn't have the capacity within him to feel my pain, to share it with me, and to hold me so that to help it go away. He just didn't have that part of him. His mother died when he was a very young boy, and though he was cared for, he was never affectionately cared for. And so he did have emotional issues, and he wasn't the most affectionate man in the world. As time went by with me, he became more and more affectionate, but really only when we were alone. Oh, God bless his soul. I still miss him so much. Anyway. So because of the hurting inside, the runes started talking to me about ice, about using the power of ice to overcome inside pain. They said when things hurt really, really deeply inside, just put a coat of ice on it. Imagine that your body is covered with a coat of ice, and that your skin is burning with the cold of the ice. and you will see that whatever was troubling you inside will now be transferred to the surface, and concentrating on that power of ice that you have coating your skin, you will get numbed and the pain will subside. It will lessen or even completely disappear. So then I started the dilemma of applying a coat of ice to this tree, thinking that I'd overcome all the adversities of all the other lifetimes, and that now I was ready to put a coat of ice on it and let the ice do protect me from the pain at the same time as regeneration was going on underneath my being. It was very important to keep my thoughts clear, to keep my mind clear, to keep not to have delusions, because if here you see when the ice goes a little black, I mean it's hard to paint black ice, but even in the ice the white has a little touch of black in it. And as I was doing the black ice, it was very, how can I describe that? It was a time when there was a lot of almost supernatural things that were happening, and they were all leaning towards a darker nature. There was voices warning me, there was visions about people getting killed. I was having a lot of dreams about Armageddon. Yeah, I was seeing the future of humanity, and I wasn't seeing it in a very nice way. And so you have to make sure that when you're working with the ice, that the ice always has to stay crystal clear. If the ice is crystal clear, as you see over here, and the ice is crystal clear, well then as it melts, you'll get a beautiful blue lake. Whereas if the ice is dirty, well then you're going to get a very murky lake that you're not going to want to be swimming in. The garden oasis would change at that point. Your ice has to be completely transparent and completely clean. Yeah? And at first when I started applying the ice, I didn't know if I just finished working 6 months on this thing. I didn't know if I was going to destroy it or if I was going to enhance it. But in the end, I was humming and hawing, and I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to. First of all, I didn't know how to do it, and secondly, I was afraid that I was going to ruin beautiful workmanship. Finally, I gave in, and I put a coat on ice. But here too, the color challenge was extraordinary, because the ice that I'm using for the purple toes or the ice that I'm using for the orange toes is not the same colors. The colors all have a tinge. The ice always has a tinge of the color that is underneath, within it. Yeah? And then when it goes into the shadowy part, well then it has to have a touch of black. And so for each one I would paint it. I always work top to bottom. So I would paint it from the top, the hand, the face. There's my sister Linda's face. Then I would do the elbow. I would come all the way down, painting the eyes as I'm working down. And then seeing as each color, then I would get rid of the colors. I didn't need them anymore. And then I would make the colors for the next hand, which one would come here. And sometimes you don't even see the branch, and then all of a sudden it pops out again at the end over here. But, so all in all, by the time that I had finished with the different color of ice for each limb, for the darkened eyes for the part in the shadow, and doing the whole thing all over again. That took me a year. It took me a whole year to paint the sibling tree. And if you look closely, here you can see that there is a person. Here's a head, here's an arm, here's her bummy, and her little toes. She has feet. And here is her second hand, which is a really huge hand, and it is predicting that horrible threesome that I had to live when I came here, about me and Patrick falling in love, or let's say him falling in love with me and me needing his guidance. And this is his ex-wife that would never leave us alone. She would never let us be. She would rather kill herself, hang herself by the neck, than to let us be happy. And so eventually I just broke it off with him. It was too complicated. And you see that this creature has a huge hole in her chest, and all the light is escaping because that hand that's supposed to be painting, that's supposed to be fertile, is just too heavy, and the hand is too heavy. So now she has to get up, and she has to come down from the street, and she has to go through the through purgatory until she gets over here. When she gets over here, she's lying in the waters of the ancestors, and here I am swimming in the waters of the ancestors, and then here I am, I'm trying to climb these icy stairs. Yeah, I'm trying to climb the icy stairs so that I can go to the other side, to the garden oasis. But there's all this marijuana and all this cocaine, and she's just lying here slumped over, and she just can't do it anymore. She was painted on the same day where I did the face of the child. I used the face of the child in one window. But this stone that's in the mouth of the rock over here is, this is a rock I told you that exists in Cadaques. It's near the Chane, and the stone that's in his mouth is a stone. I had painted it before it happened, but when Lenny died, I had a blue and white diamond ring, and the blue diamonds were exactly the same color as his eyes. That's why I love that. That's why I love that ring so much. And I was sitting on a bench when I went home to walk my dog, and I was sitting on a bench, and that was when he died. And all of a sudden I looked at my ring, and I realized I'd looked at it 10 minutes before and it was fine, and then I looked at my ring and there was a stone gone. And I was sitting with a friend of mine, and I said, "Oh my God, Lenny's going to be so upset. I lost the stone from our ring." And then the phone rang and he had just left. Yeah, so I truly believe that when I do get into the garden oasis and meet up with him again, that he will return me my little stone. Yeah, that's just a little romantic part of me. You know? So this is the whole story behind the sibling tree. So, now what I would like to do is I would like to talk to you about the hermaphrodite tree. Here's the hermaphrodite tree. It starts with the witch. The witch is ripping open the hole for the light to come in, and here's her little helper. That would be me and Elke. Here's her little helper trying to open up a hole so that the light can come in. And here she has some kind of a person or a hand, a burden, some kind of a burden, but it's gold in color. There's an importance to it, to the goldness in the color. So she's got this new hand growing out of her, and on her back, this gives the strength to this man whose roots are in purgatory, but who is a good man, and he's trying to help the broken woman. Here's the legs of the broken woman. He's trying to help her so that she can get closer to the light. He's raising her up, but because he didn't respect all the laws he was a good man, but he did things his way, and he was a rebel soul. And so somehow his roots were in purgatory. So even though he really tried to help me, he had this big green hand that was trying to help me stand up straight. And you can see that here he's a beautiful man, very beautiful, but at the back of his head is a demon. Yeah, you've got like a snake here, you've got the poison in his veins. Yeah, because you've got the poison in his veins, and you've got the head of this dragon that has a little bit of a stinger on it, which would be once again the Mataraya that had stung me. But then you have the feet of the woman. Her toes are hanging down. You have her legs that go up, and then she falls. She falls outside of the painting. And he's got this big fertile hand, and he's trying to help her, but he's not doing such a great job because the hand is deformed, and it's not sure if it wants to be. It's not sure what it wants to be. It also looks like a stingray. It looks like a stingray or a squid, some kind of sea creature. And here you have what I would say to be here the testicles, and here the penis of the tree. And over here you have the vagina of the tree. So this tree is called the hermaphrodite tree because it has both a penis and a vagina. And I actually do have doubts that maybe the future of the human race is going to be in a hermaphrodite form. I've had dreams about this. And this blue hand here, that was after Lenny had died. This was one of the last things I had painted in the painting, and I added this hand. Before it was just yellow, it was the same color as this, but it was missing something. And so when he died, I used to see in the house, I used to see this turquoise blue form of a human being. And whenever I would see that turquoise blue light, I knew that he was with me. I would feel peace, I would feel comforted. And it was usually in times when I needed help to do something. I mean, we're all energy, it's all just energy. And I believe that when I was planning my trip to Cadaques, that he actually, I mean, I didn't even know Cadaques existed. So I believe that it was him that was sitting with me when I was crying on my iPad saying, what am I going to do, where am I going to go? That actually helped me to find Cadaques and helped me to find the people that I needed to find to make this a learning and positive experience. Yeah, so this is like his hand that was always reaching out to me from the other side, that was always coming to help me, to protect me. Here you have skeleton veils of death. And those are the two biggest elements in this painting, the sibling tree and the hermaphrodite tree. Now what I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about the statues. We did a little bit of it the other day, but I didn't tell you the whole story. The story is that I don't remember the names because I'm dyslexic, and sometimes I speak I put my words in a bad order. I mean, I can never remember, and numbers, I'm dyslexic. Not extremely, but enough. So I don't remember the names. But it was an Italian woman and an Italian man, and they were very much in love. But then, because she was some kind of a noble family, she had been promised to marry another man, and both families wanted that marriage. This is also in the book of Dante. Both families wanted the marriage, but they and so of course the fact that the two people were madly in love with somebody else didn't matter. And so the story has it that the night before the wedding, they had escaped. They had arranged to meet in the garden, and at least to be able to make love for one time in their existence. And And so they meet in the garden and they take off their clothes and they sit on the rock. And just as they give their first kiss, this witch comes in and she turns them into stone. That's why they're in stone over here. Yes? But they are in an eternal embrace. This statue was put into the L'Arc de Triomphe, the statue of the war statue in Paris. And he was originally that was being sculpted into the L'Arc de Triomphe. But when he finished it, he looked at it, and with all the war scenes going on, all the suffering, all the soldiers, it's a memorial to the soldiers, he said no. He says these guys, they don't belong in there. They're so oblivious to everything that's going around them. And he he carved the statue out of the wall and he put it in a garden where they could be forever in the garden, locked in an embrace. And like I say, I do believe that this is a likeness of him, how he was when he died, and this is a likeness of me, how I will look when I die. Over here, this looks like me now, and this looks like him. Yes? So, other than that, there's only one thing I still want to show you. There's only one thing, and then I'm going to say that we have finished this painting. What I wanted to show you is that there are a few golden ones. Like I say, the unfinished work of the universal painter, well, the universal painters. Yeah, the golden universal painters. You've got over here, this tiny little one over here. This one looks like Van Gogh. He's got a cap and he really looks like Van Gogh. I didn't put eyes on that part because I didn't want to lose it. Yeah, but that was the face that just appeared like that, and that was the first one that appeared. Then you've got a portrait of Dante. This is a self-portrait of Dante that I had found in the book. Okay, it doesn't look exactly, but it's similar enough to make it a little bit spooky. And then over here we've got you, Ghosty. We've got Salvador Dali over here. And as legend always has it, if you can look closer, you can see that he's actually masturbating. This, I would say, would be me. This is another one of me that I'm trying to be a painter, but I'm half buried in the stone and tangled with the she-devil. This looks like Griego. This really does look like a Griego. You've got a couple more. You've got one here, you've got one here. One of them is Velasquez, and the other one is, I don't know who the other one is. And then over here, you look sideways, here you have Rembrandt, the master of the light. You see his hat, his collar, his face with the profile over here, with a little bit of a beard. And his arm is reaching backwards, and it's helping to rip up the hole so that the light can come in. Yeah, so these are all the golden ones. Yeah, they're all the golden ones. These are not people that I know. These are masters. One out there and here. Yeah. So that's it for him and the Wall of Decadence. I hope that you liked it. I hope that it sparked a few questions in your own mind about how you see things and how you do things. I wrote a 300-page book. It is the biography of this painting. It is one page would be photo, and the other page would be written. I haven't published it yet. And so every little entity, like this green demon over here, the two little skeleton sisters over here, the statues, the monumental statues of sickness and death. You've got the waters of the ancestors. You've got these rocks. I mean, every entity has its own entry in the book for the first coat and for the second coat. Now I'm just giving you an overall view of the whole thing. But when you actually see how the painting was changing at the same time as my perceptions were changing, it's going to be a very interesting adventure for many of you. So thank you for your time, and thank you, Cadaques, for participating. I know that you're not feeling well, and I want to thank you for coming today. It's very nice of you to be here. And well, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow for another painting.